The concept of reversing type 2 diabetes is controversial, but it's gaining traction in the scientific community. Traditionally, type 2 diabetes has been viewed as a chronic and progressive disease with the belief that damaged beta cells in the pancreas cannot be regenerated. That's where the idea, once a diabetic, always a diabetic, comes from. But modern science challenges this view. So today, we're exploring what the science actually says, including the exact steps that researchers suggest can achieve this reversal. This is a more technical video than others we produce, but it's well worth understanding these extremely important discoveries from the last few years of modern science. Make sure you subscribe to Diabetics Talk for practical diabetes information and click the like button if you find this information useful. Let's start with what type 2 diabetes is. With diabetes, the body either doesn't produce enough insulin or can't effectively use the insulin it does produce. Insulin regulates blood sugar, moving it into our cells to be used as energy. When this system fails, glucose builds up in the blood, causing damage throughout the body, damaging nerves and increasing the risk for heart attack, stroke, and other diseases. The hypothesis of reversing type 2 diabetes centers not only on reducing blood sugar, but reducing the fat that accumulates in the liver and pancreas, which is what actually interferes with insulin function. Studies like 2017 analysis aptly titled "Beating Type 2 Diabetes into Remission" suggests that weight loss can lead to remission for some people. If obesity is causing excess fat in the liver and pancreas, then weight loss may restore beta cell function in that pancreas. A big part of the controversy is the medical community's emphasis on managing diabetes with medication. But this study suggests that total biochemical remission is possible. Total biochemical remission refers to the state where the biological markers of diabetes, such as blood glucose and HbA1c concentrations, return to their normal ranges, eventually without the need for anti-diabetes drugs. The study found that if excess fat is the core issue, weight loss can effectively restore normal function into the beta cells of the pancreas. A common objection that often comes up, which is completely true and logical, is that biochemical remission is not equivalent to a cure for diabetes because the underlying genetic and environmental susceptibilities still exist. Therefore, anyone who achieves remission must continue with lifestyle habits that support this state. Essentially, if someone reaches remission, it doesn't mean they can eat junk and live a sedentary lifestyle without the problems returning. Of course, this is true, but it also offers great hope. As we mentioned, the research discusses an important point society is now waking up to: how the traditional approach relies heavily on anti-diabetic drugs that artificially lower blood glucose and HbA1c levels. But does that really address the root causes of diabetes? The discussion around the accumulation of fat in the liver and pancreas and its role in type 2 diabetes is pivotal. When we talk about liver fat or pancreas fat, we're referring to the buildup of fat cells in these organs beyond what is healthy. This is known technically as fatty liver disease when it occurs in the liver, and pancreatic steatosis when it happens in the pancreas. So how does this fat get there? It's a combination of several factors. First, we have genetics. Yes, some individuals are genetically predisposed to storing fat in these organs, but that's a baseline. It's crucial to understand that genetic disposition does not dictate an inevitable fate. Overnutrition is a common problem today. Eating too much stresses the endoplasmic reticulum and cells where insulin receptors are made. This stress can cause the endoplasmic reticulum to send out a signal to dampen the insulin signaling pathway, hence leading to insulin resistance. It's like a mailroom swamped during the holidays, which becomes overworked, causing dysfunction in mail sorting. As you probably know, insulin helps glucose enter cells by interacting with glucose transporters on the cell's surface. When we eat food, this moves digested glucose into cells where it's used for energy. Over time, high glucose and insulin levels can alter the function of these transporters, reducing their effectiveness and contributing to insulin resistance. As cells become less responsive to insulin, the pancreas produces more insulin to compensate, and high insulin levels further promote fat storage in the liver and pancreas. Diets high in calories, especially from bad fats and sugars, increase the levels of fatty acids in the blood. These fatty acids can accumulate in various tissues, leading to an inflammatory response. Chronic inflammation disrupts the signaling pathways for insulin, further reducing insulin function, and on top of all of that, hormones released from fat tissue can influence insulin sensitivity. An imbalance in these hormones can impair the action of insulin. Now, if you lift weights or do exercises that build muscle, you're training your mitochondria. Mitochondria are responsible for generating energy in our cells, and they are the powerhouses of energy. When someone has strong mitochondria, it means that their cells are efficient at converting nutrients into energy. That's why resistance training is so good for diabetics. On the flip side, impaired mitochondrial function can lead to an excess of byproducts called reactive oxygen species, which damage cells and increase insulin resistance. Furthermore, as we age, muscle mass tends to decrease, which can contribute to decreased insulin sensitivity. Each of these factors can contribute to the multifaceted problem, which is why it's so important to take care of your liver and pancreas, and in the process, as these recent studies show, tick many of the other boxes for overall health and longevity. So what can be done about all of this? There are a number of key points that have been shown to make a difference. Strategies such as intermittent fasting, which involves limiting food intake into a specific time window each day, have shown good results. A 2023 clinical trial from the University of Illinois Chicago looked at time-restrictive eating. 75 people with obesity and type 2 diabetes were split into 3 groups, with each group following a different eating plan for 6 months. The intermittent fasting group could eat whatever they wanted, but only between noon and 8 p.m., meaning they fasted for 16 hours each day. The calorie reduction group ate 25% fewer calories than what their bodies needed to keep a stable weight without time limits. And the control group didn't change their eating habits at all. After 6 months, the fasting group lost significantly more weight than the calorie reduction group. That's an amazing result. They could eat whatever they wanted, but simply by limiting the hours that they ate, they lost more weight than the group eating less. The fasting group also reported that it was easier for them to stick with the routine than the calorie reduction group. In a longer 12-week study, participants who fasted for 24 hours twice per week had significant decreases in liver and pancreas fat, that root cause problem we discussed earlier. These studies confirm that by simply giving the body time off eating, giving it time to digest and cleanse itself and get a little hungry, diabetes markers started to naturally reverse. While limited in scope, these studies show that when you eat makes an enormous difference, a point that traditional science hasn't really focused on. That said, limiting calories and choosing healthy calories is also important. In the Counterpoint study, researchers observed that people with type 2 diabetes who followed a very low-calorie diet experienced not just a reduction in blood sugar levels, but also a decrease in fat stored in the pancreas. It's this combination of strategies that researchers are so excited about. So what can we do about it? Time-restricted eating can be worth exploring. It's like setting a curfew for your kitchen. By eating all your meals within an 8 to 12 hour window, you give your body a break from constantly processing food, and this can help improve insulin sensitivity. Of course, if you have complications or take medication, seek professional advice first. In terms of food itself, eating a diet low in carbohydrates has been shown to help, especially cutting out refined carbs like bread and pasta or anything that uses flour. Many studies have looked at this, including a 2015 HHS study which lasted almost a year, finding that reducing the amount of carbohydrates in the diet led to weight loss and improved blood sugar control, while lowering medication requirements. Following this, in 2018, the American Diabetes Association actually removed from their website the statement that type 2 diabetes is a progressive disease, reflecting a shift in understanding of the problem. Much progress can come from limiting carbohydrates, avoiding refined carbohydrates, and creating harmony on your plate. Think of adding a variety of colors with antioxidant-rich vegetables and fruits, lean proteins for muscle strength and healthy fats. This isn't just good for weight management, it's about fueling your body with what it needs to function at its best. Regular physical activity is also key. Exercise isn't just for weight loss, it helps your body use insulin more effectively. Whether it's a brisk walk, a dance-off in your living room, or a bike ride, find what makes you happy and do it regularly. If it's within your abilities, some resistance or weight training is even better to build strong mitochondria. And monitor your blood sugar levels. Understanding how different foods and activities affect your blood sugar can help you make smarter choices for your health, because we all respond differently to different foods. For more on these topics, you might like to watch our video on the 8 best foods that reverse insulin resistance, or our video on the 10 ways to reduce blood sugar naturally. We'll leave a link to them in the description box below. Make sure you subscribe to Diabetics Talk for practical diabetes information, and click the like button if you found this information useful. It really helps more people to see our videos. We hope you're having a diabetes fighting day.